I'm going to get away with it. That was his attitude. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if they had me on video. Doesn't matter who sees it. But it did matter because, you know, the detective didn't give up and the witnesses cooperated.
Devin Pope has just gassed up his Nissan Maxima when he remembers he has forgotten to buy cigars from the Tiger Express convenience store on St. Helena Island. So he pulls to the parking space next to the front entrance and goes inside. It's just after 4 p.m. on a bright day, April 3rd, 2020. Passengers Zach Wilkerson and Quentin Ventris wait in the car while Pope makes his purchase. But before Pope can return, hell breaks loose in the parking lot.
It was just startling to see what then happened in the midst of the community, going about their daily lives.
As Ventris and Wilkerson sit in the car, a white Nissan Sentra enters the parking lot. A man in the front passenger seat emerges and begins walking towards the entrance.
It seemed clear to me that as soon as he got out of the car, it appears that he recognizes the other vehicle, the black purplish Nissan. And so he sort of adjusts himself, checks himself as he approaches the back of the vehicle. As soon as he hits the back of that vehicle, he starts looking inside for his victims. And then, of course, he turns and shoots them.
The gunman runs back to the Sentra, which then speeds away on Sea Island Parkway to the Coffin Point area of St. Helena. Back at the Tiger Express, sitting in the back seat of the Maxima, Zach Wilkerson has evaded the gunman's bullets. But in the front seat, Quentin Ventris wasn't so fortunate. A bullet has lodged near his spine. The 26-year-old man struggles to speak and cannot move from the neck down.
The moment that the defendant's gun pierces his spinal cord, a doctor from Beaufort Memorial testified, C1 and C2, he's immediately a quadriplegic. He cannot move anything below that point where the bullet has lodged in his spine, and lives at MUSC for the next 5 months, unable to breathe on his own. The entire time that he is at MUSC, in care there, he is unable to speak and give any sort of assistance in terms of who shot him.
Beaufort County EMS arrives at the scene to tend to Ventris, and the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office gathers evidence from the crime scene. Investigators quickly learn no one in Pope's vehicle was armed. Witnesses can describe, but cannot identify, the gunman. And that white Nissan? It's as though it disappeared into the ether.
I attribute a lot of the initial breakthrough to what I'd say is just the dogged determination of that investigator. He was not going to let this go, despite the obstacles, that were in his way. And so Beaufort County Sheriff's Office put out the nixle, and in that nixle was photographs taken from the surveillance video at the gas station, and a member of the community recognized her vehicle. The mother had bought the car, the daughter was driving the car, and then brought her daughter in to the sheriff's department, and things started to move.
Her name is being withheld from this video out of concern for her safety.
Over the course of a couple of interviews of this young woman who was the driver of the white Nissan, she reveals to police that about 2.5 weeks prior to the shooting at the gas station, she had met the defendant, as she describes, at a yard party, where she and her best friend were engaging with him, and she gave him some rides over the next 2.5 weeks, and she drove him that day to the gas station. He asked for a ride. He had only given her the name Ghost. Occasionally he might refer to himself as Sav G in the community. That name came up as well.
Although the woman says she doesn't know the shooter's real name, she describes a tattoo on his arm and identifies his face from a photo lineup prepared by the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. She points to a picture of De'Avion Jaquan Burgess. Burgess is arrested in June, more than 2 months after the shooting. He is charged with 2 counts of attempted murder and possession of a weapon during commission of a violent crime. The young driver is charged as an accessory after the fact because she drove Burgess from the scene and did not immediately report the incident. Trasi Campbell of the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office will prosecute the case, and she has good evidence to work with. In addition to the statement from the driver of the getaway car, Investigators collect DNA samples from the Nissan Sentra that corroborate her story. Burgess's DNA is found on the door handle and on the passenger seat, and others identify him by name from still photos taken from surveillance videos. Campbell faces a few challenges, however. The DNA only proves Burgess was in the car at some point, not necessarily on the day of the shooting, and the gun Burgess used in the assault is never recovered.
So some of the challenges that we encountered with this case clearly was witness cooperation. The fear and intimidation and concern for their own safety weighed heavily on them. The state has the burden of proof of guilt beyond reasonable doubt in terms of every aspect of the case. However, in a situation with attempted murder, the law requires that the state show that the shooter specifically intended to kill his target.
The case takes another turn in September 2020 when Ventress dies at the Medical University of South Carolina in Charleston. A forensic pathologist determines his health was the result of complications of his paralysis. One of the attempted murder charges against Burgess is upgraded to murder. Burgess's trial begins at the Beaufort County Courthouse on March 21, 2022. He claims self-defense and that he and Ventress feuded in the days before the Tiger Express incident.
He took the stand in his own defense, and he got up there and he said that he had heard on the street that the victim in this case had shot at his mama's house, and that apparently angered him tremendously and put him in a mode of seeking revenge, arming himself, as he testified, with a handgun that he had bought on the street, and out in the community looking for, if you will, the opportunity when he would find this individual that he had heard about. Not anything in the case or the trial said that there's any evidence that this actually occurred.
During 2 days of testimony, Campbell calls 19 witnesses, none more important than the driver of the white Nissan Sentra.
Prior to trial, with the knowledge that her attorney had served the notice of the defense of duress to the state, we engaged with her and her attorney, and she became a cooperating witness, and her charges have been dismissed. Coming forward and being a part of the process of identifying and trying to stop, the violence, while it may seem a risk, I don't know, in the long run, isn't it really better for everyone, including the person who comes forward, that they come forward and say, I saw this is not acceptable in our community, it's dangerous, people are getting killed. I need to do my part.
On March 24, 2022, a Beaufort County jury of 6 men and 6 women finds Burgess guilty of all charges.
I think the key to unlocking the specific intent was the statements of the defendant himself when he got back in the car with the young woman who was driving the white Nissan, and he told her, with gun in hand, go, go, go. And she testified, she said, what happened? Why did you do it? And he said, I had to get them boys.
Circuit Court Judge Robert Bond sentences Burgess to life in prison.
The safety and security of all of our community, no matter where we are, in Beaufort County, north, south, middle, we have to feel a sense of safety, that when we go, whether it's to the gas station, to the bank, to the grocery store, that we are not going to be an innocent bystander in a street justice, revenge killing. I think that when the court sentenced him to a life sentence, that was the appropriate sentence for that level of disregard to this community.
Campbell is a member of the Solicitor's Office Career Criminal Unit, which prosecutes the circuit's most violent and habitual offenders. The team has earned convictions against 411 of the 430 defendants it has prosecuted since its formation in 2009.